Hello, everyone. Welcome to the webinar on career transition from PhD student to early career researcher, hosted by Regional Studies Association and AESOP Young Academics Network. We will be moderating today's webinar with Daniela Carl, Deputy Chief Executive of the Regional Studies Association, who joined the RSA in 2013, bringing wide-ranging international conference management experiences, academic networks, and a strong entrepreneurial approach to the association. So today, we are going to be exploring the challenges and opportunities of transitioning from a PhD to an early career researcher, while our esteemed speakers sharing their experiences and tips, and meanwhile presenting the support and resources available from both associations, AESOP Young Academics Network and RSA, for career development. So please feel free to engage and ask questions in the Q&A box as we collectively embrace the power of knowledge and collaboration. Once more, I would like to thank to our speakers and both associations bringing this webinar come to life, and finally our audience for their time. So today's Regional Studies Association Professional Development webinar is the second of the 3 webinars titled Navigating Career Success with AESOP Young Academics Network and RSA. Previously, we covered the topic Effective Grant Application Writing, which soon will be available online on both websites. As for the general information and the housekeeping, there are several points we would like to inform you before we delve into the career transition from a PhD student to early career researcher. So the first one is the webinar will be recorded and will be made available, as I said previously, both on the RSA Lounge and the AESOP Young Academics Network website. And the second one is if you have any inquiries for our presenters or thoughts to share, please feel free to engage with us in the Q&A box. Put any questions in the Q&A box during the webinar, and there will be a Q&A session at the end of the webinar after the presentations. And last but not least, please use the hashtag RSA webinar, previously known Twitter, right now X, to tweet about the event. You can also tag RSA and AESOP Young Academics accounts in the meantime. So welcome again, and let's begin shortly, and let me share my screen. Let me shortly introduce myself. My name is Sila Varis, and I'm the current representative of Young Academics Network of AESOP. AESOP is Association of European Schools of Planning. And we have 2 main core aims. The first one is creating a network of young academics and the organization of activities. But supporting to that, secondly, we are facilitating access to AESOP structures, and we are trying to voice the young academics' needs within the AESOP. So where to find us? We have a website, aesopyoungacademics.net. You can subscribe for free, become a member, create a profile, take part in the Young Academics Coordination Team elections, and basically start networking. You can, on the other hand, receive the monthly newsletter for detailed information on specific events, webinars as such, and our projects. We are also pretty online on other social media, such as LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, X, and Instagram. We have a tradition of hosting young academics conferences since 2007, and we have successfully hosted last week, actually, in Milano, Italy, titled Bridging Gaps, Urban Planning for Coexistence, the 18th Young Academics Conference, in close collaboration with PhD students in Politecnico di Milano. So as for the YA webinar series, we are collaborating with RSA. I hope you will enjoy today's presentations and the webinar as well. And please make sure that you're also registered for the third and the last one on about the mental health and well-being in academia. So thank you so much. And I would like to give the floor to Daniela Carl to give much more information on RSA and the opportunities.
Thank you very much, Ceren, and I shall attempt to share my screen as well. I hope you can see this full screen.
Yes.
A warm welcome also from my side. As Ceren said, I'm here from the RSA, and So what is the RSA? You might not be aware of what we actually do. We are a global and interdisciplinary network for urban and regional research, development and policy. We do a lot of things, and a lot of our initiatives are actually aimed at PhD students in early careers. We have provide latest research via our suite of publications. We have research grant schemes. We have a portfolio of knowledge exchange, training, and capacity building activities, and we facilitate global networks. The RSA is one of the networks that are out there that support researchers' career development and capacity building. Hang on. So here's a quote which might be of interest to you. A great predictor of career success is membership of an open network. As I said, the RSA is just one of the ones that's out there. And for you, it's important to find your tribe, your network that feels at home, where your people are based. If this is the RSA or AESOP, even better. But it's good if you look around what's out there. So advantages of being part of a network is that you're part of a group of people who are interested in the same or a similar topic. You get to know potential project partners in this network. You hear about opportunities, job opportunities, project opportunities, funding opportunities. You might find a mentor. You get to know about, well, you might meet your future employer there. So being part of a network is certainly very useful, no matter what research topic you work on. So as mentioned, we do offer a number of research grant schemes. These are just some of them. In the session yesterday, I spoke a bit more in detail on this. You find more information via the QR code. So we have grant schemes for different career stages. If you're an early career researcher, then the early career research grant is of interest. Also a travel grant scheme that's for students in early careers. But you can also apply for research networks as a PhD student or early career, or even a fellowship grant scheme or policy expo grant scheme. That's all possible. We do awards, excellence awards. So we have something for recent master students, for PhD students, and for early career researchers. The deadline for this is the 22nd of April, and I encourage you to have a look and apply for this. Again, via the QR code, you get more information on this. We do a number of conferences and events, and as part of this, we offer support and career development opportunities for students in early careers. We have early career plenary speaker competition. This is at our main conference. That's an opportunity to apply to be a plenary speaker at an RSA conference, which is really good to have in your CV, and you are on the same stage as some of the big names. You get your attendance also financed by the RSA in a free conference place. We offer conference bursaries for the annual conference in Florence. We provided funding for 10 mainly students and early career researchers to attend the conference. That means they get a free conference place. So look out for those. We have an annual PhD student and early career conference. The 2024 conference will be held in Cambridge. It's still open for submissions, so check this out. We also, our European Foundation, RSA Europe, does a summer college that's closed for this year, but there will be one for next year, so look out for those. We have a very active program for professional development webinars and resources from those. There are over 50 recordings from webinar series on a number of topics. And then we will have the Right Here, Right Now sessions, which is where people meet to write, to proceed with their writing. So people, let's say 10 people meet for an hour or two, and while they are meeting, they get on with their writing because there's the pressure to get something on, and that seems to work. So that's something we do. We have student and early career representatives on the board. We have a Facebook group. We have a very active network for early career and mid-career women in regional studies. We have territorial networks globally, and we have currently 11 funded research networks. So research networks looking at a specific topic, working together. In regards to publishing, all our journals have early career editors. So this is an opportunity to learn the skills and the rope of being an editor, working with the editor-in-chief, and yeah, learning what's required for this. We have social media editors. They are mainly early careers as well on all our journals. We have editor posts and publishing opportunities with the RSA blog and the Regions online magazine. We have a mentor publishing route for PhD students in early careers in regional studies and regional science. As you can see, we have lots on for PhD students in early careers. This is a list of the key areas where we have resources on. These are results from previous professional development webinars. So we have, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 different sessions on academic writing and publishing, for example, and so it goes. I mean, under grants and funding, you will find several sessions and so on. So well worth checking out. These are available for RSA members only. And then finally, I like to point out the RSA e-bulletin, which is available for anyone to sign up. You don't need to be a member, which is where we share any information on grant schemes, events, activities, support that's available. So please check this out and sign up via the QR code on the slides. We will share the slides afterwards as well. Okay. That's my little speedy run through what the RSA does, and I shall hand back to Ceren. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Daniela. Now it's time to hear from our esteemed speakers. I would like to first introduce Diana Morales. Diana Morales holds a PhD from the Center for Urban and Regional Development Studies, Newcastle University. She is also a fellow of Regional Studies Association. Her area of expertise lies on economic geography with emphasis on rural, local, and regional development. And theoretically, her point of departure is uneven development, local and regional development theories, and diverse economies. And empirically, her strongest points are compared case studies, and she has an extensive experience working in Latin America and Europe. And today we will be hearing from Diana about the experience on this challenging journey from being a PhD to an early career researcher, how to create a pathway. And thanks to Diana for being with us today, and I would like to give the floor to you.
Right, thank you, Ceren, for the introduction. Hi, everyone. As I was mentioned, my name is Diana Morales. I work as a postdoctoral researcher at Umeå University in the north of Sweden. And yeah, I'm very happy to be here. I'm very happy to have been able to contribute here, and I hope that my experience might be of some help to people. So let me share my screen. Yeah, that should be all right. So when I was invited to contribute to this webinar, I was thinking there's so many things you can say. There's many like practical issues. So we can think of how to look for jobs, how to network, how to do this and that. But I know that my colleagues are gonna delve a little bit into that. So I thought I was gonna talk a little bit more about other things that I have found that I maybe didn't think of much before, and I've been learning through these 5 longish years that I've had since I graduated from the PhD. So just let me start by acknowledging that it's indeed challenging. It is a tricky moment where you kind of live in this protected space where if things are going well, you have your supervisor supporting you and helping you, giving you feedback, and then you suddenly need to become like this independent person that's going to be out there looking for jobs. And then the job market is tight, and you know the competition is really tough. So I do want to acknowledge that there are challenges to that, and especially if you're a minority, you belong to a minority, you're a woman or a racialized person, if you're an immigrant, then all these things feel a little bit more daunting. So, but first, as I have experienced this, and this can bring some feelings of, I don't know, insecurity, or maybe feeling not adequate enough or not being enough for the job or what it takes. So first, do know that we all experience it. This is something that we all go through, and it's going to take a lot of rejections and a lot of applications, and most of them are going to be no, thank you very much. But it's not only me. And when I realized it wasn't only me, it kind of lifted the weight off my shoulders. Like, yeah, it's not my personal problem. It's not that I'm not good enough. It's just that, yeah, the market out there is difficult. Something else that helped me to kind of navigate all these feelings of insecurity or imposter and etc. is to think, why am I here? Why did I choose to do a PhD in the first place? What are my strengths? What have I learned in my path? And the perks of the job. And whatever one can discuss is difficult, and there are people with precarious jobs and so on. But at the end, science is a nice job. And you get a lot of flexibility, and you get to, in most cases, you get to do things that you're passionate about. So keeping that in mind always has been really helpful for me to navigate the very challenging pathway from PhD to trying to become a researcher. Having said this, something that I did struggle a lot in this transition was kind of finding, I'm calling it my academic identity. You can call it different ways, but it's basically finding what is that you're good at, where you want to focus. If you're going to market yourself, what things are you going to, pinpoint as the good things or the things that I'm going to be selling. And at the end, and this may sound a little bit awful, but at the end it is finding jobs and becoming a researcher. It involves a lot of work, like a marketing job of yourself, of who you are. So kind of understanding that, whatever you think or thoughts about it, it helps you to understand, okay, who am I as a researcher? What is my expertise? What can I do? Where do I see myself in 5 years? And that will help you to write a very nice paragraph at the beginning of your CV, for example, where you present yourself, trying to explain, what is that you know how to do, and you know what to do. It takes a lot of self-reflection, of course, and self-reflection and thinking, what are these things where you thrive? What are the things that make you feel passionate about? And I think that's been a way forward, of course, to try to market yourself. To do this, something that helped me a lot as well was surround myself with peers, with friends, with colleagues, or with mentors, to first realize that we all go through the same process. That is daunting, but it's normal to some extent. And also people to share your ideas with, and people with whom you can perhaps mature your ideas a little bit further. And that will help you to bring, your marketization of yourself a little bit further as well. And well, as Daniela and Ceren were saying, and I'm going to emphasize it again, be part of an organization, an association, a community of practice, but not just only be part, be an active part of that is very important. And that has helped me a lot, especially if I've been doing postdocs. So I'm about to move to my third postdoc, by the way. I should have started by explaining what has been my path. And some of those postdoc positions put you in predefined projects. So sometimes it's difficult to know, okay, well, I'm an expert in this, if I need to jump from this theme to this other theme. And that's where associations and friends and peers help you to kind of find where you sit within this landscape. Maybe I should also mention that my path has been a little bit mobile, to say the least. Like, I did my PhD in a different continent where I'm from. Then I moved countries to do a postdoc. Then I moved cities to do another postdoc. And I'm about to change countries again. And I recognize that that's not something that everyone can do, because this is also a period of life where it comes with like care responsibilities, that comes with a lot of changes in life as well. So this might be as well a shout out for employers and universities for more flexibility. Please do not expect people to, move at the drop of a hat, especially if we're talking about 1 to 2 years contracts. So yeah, I wanted to say that as well. And finally, something that I've thought and that it's being highlighted in my very many applications I've sent around is how to become an independent researcher. And this thing has been highlighted as the strongest part of my application. You show independence. And I think that's very important. So if you have overcome those feelings, or not overcome, but dealt with them in a way, like those daunting feelings, then you have found where you stand as a researcher, what you want to do, what you're passionate about, then you should be able to say, okay, I am an independent researcher and I can start my own projects and I can have my own ideas, and my ideas are exciting, are valid, and I'm going to look for funding for them and so on. So, but then, yeah, it's transitioning from this protected space to this kind of jungle, if you want. So something I think I'm gonna say that was told by some friends of mine, take training in how to write grants. Because as Daniela was saying before, there are several grants and several things that might not give you full employment, but will give you a head start to publish something, or to start building your name, your application, your publication states, and so on. So do train on how to write a grant, because it's quite a specific way of writing. You need to market yourself, and you need to be very efficient in how you say your idea in very short space. And also explore options. If we are all here because we want to be researchers, but being a lecturer is not the only pathway to research. So also explore the options if there are, I don't know, NGOs, think tanks, or other places where you can also exploit those skills as a researcher that you have. Something very practical that I can tell as well is that use your CV as a repository. Anything that you do, write it down there. Then you worry about the format. But because then when you're going to apply, it's going to be really annoying to try to remember, oh, I did this seminar, or I took this training, and so on. So just write it down. And don't be shy, and with this all finished, don't be shy in looking for networks and collaborations. If you have this great idea that you want to explore and write about, but you think you lack expertise in this particular area, or you like to have a co-author, just find the person and email. I think most people is happy to receive these invitations, and the worst thing they can say is no. So yeah, just don't be shy and go on. And yeah, I'm just looking forward to hear what questions you have or what comments you have. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Diana, for this great and moving presentation. Since I am myself a researcher who pursues to do research in a different country and context, I can totally relate and find it very important, the issues that you have raised. And looking forward to the discussion part as well. Please don't forget to write your questions on the Q&A box. So, but before, let me introduce our second speaker, Ender Peker. Ender Peker is an urbanist specializing in climate-responsive urban design. In particular, the ways in which the built environment is co-designed by technical rules, regulations, and codes that seek to order urban life in deference to inhabitants' socio-ecologic values. Peker holds a PhD in real estate and planning from the University of Reading, UK, and a master's degree in urban design from Middle East Technical University. He completed undergraduate courses in city and regional planning at METÜ and economics at Anadolu University, Turkey. He has been a visiting scholar at the Joint Center for Urban Design at Oxford Brookes University and the Department of Planning and Landscape at the University of Manchester. I have to say, I had the privilege to be the student of Ender when I was an undergrad student, and carrying on his and his teammates' legacy in AESOP Young Academics Coordination Team. Ender will be talking about the navigating the post-PhD landscape, especially underlining job hunting and beyond, and what to expect and how we can be more prepared. So Ender, floor is yours.
Thank you, Ceren, for the introduction. It's a great pleasure to be with you in this webinar, and thank you for inviting me. Hello, everyone. Let me start sharing my screen. Okay. I'm going to talk about the process of planning, what to do in the next step after your PhD. You may be at different stages of your doctoral journey, but job hunting is something you should consider before waiting for your PhD to be completed. And I'm sure you are all aware of this reality. And in the next 10 minutes, I'll try to highlight some points and considerations to help smooth your transition in the next phase of your career, let's say. As you embark on your PhD journey and the transition from PhD to early career research, defining your goals becomes important. This is basically not to be a fish in the ocean. And to do that, I would suggest taking the time to reflect on your career aspirations and what you hope to achieve in the short and the long term. Are you aiming for a faculty position, an academic research, industry research, or action research with communities, or something else completely different? And this clarification will help you to understand what you want to achieve in your career and where you want to focus all of your efforts. And at that stage, writing down your goals is a good exercise. I would suggest you to write down or make a self-reflection exercise, as just Diana mentioned in the previous presentation. What makes you happy and satisfied as well? What are your strengths that you could use in this direction? Think by writing, it will help you in that sense. And also, setting your goals will motivate you by giving something tangible to work towards. And by clarifying the direction you want to proceed, you can identify the skills you need to develop to succeed in your chosen track, whatever the track is. And lastly, clear goals will help you define your networking strategies, which are fundamental dimensions of transition from PhD to early career research. And as you all know, networking is a really, really critical aspect. And it's not just about getting the business cards or the contacting, I mean, the email, getting the email addresses. It's all about building, constructing genuine connections with other researchers within your field and perhaps beyond your field. So reach out colleagues, expand your network, try to find some mentors or policy experts, whatever your career goal direction is. Attending conferences, workshops, and seminars, these facilities are already known by you, and you're already doing it. And don't forget that majority of job positions are filled through personal connections. So don't underestimate the power of networks. And one thing that I'd like to remind you here is that stalking is not networking. So be active. We are talking about active networking here. And networking, with the right networking strategies, it can expose you to potential collaborators, both within and outside of your field. And it can increase the likelihood of discovering funding opportunities and some grants that could support your future research ideas. And engaging in network exposes you to diverse perspectives, which fosters intellectual growth and also opens some doors for interdisciplinary collaboration, which is something crucial in today's landscape research. And enhancing visibility and recognition is the other benefit of networking, because with good networking strategies, it will allow you to showcase your own research and increase your visibility in the academic community. And when we talk about networking, getting involved in networks such as Regional Studies Association and AESOP Young Academics Networks, for sure is a good start of establishing the connections with different scholars. You can be a member and start with familiarizing with international researchers, but you can also take this one step forward and take active role in the management of these networks. And I personally became a member of AESOP Young Academics Network even before I started my PhD. And my first involvement was attending a Young Academic Conference that was held in the University of Reading in England, where I then received a full scholarship after 2 years of the organization of the event. And I presented there. I met with the existing researchers and potential supervisors. And just by chance, the moderator of my session in the conference was the chair of AESOP at that time. And after a few years, during my PhD process, I was elected as a member of the coordination team. And coordination experience brought even more opportunity, as you can guess, to construct a network, because it allowed me to work with established professors during the organization of workshops, conferences, or events. And over time, this familiarity and already established trust helped me find new resources in post-PhD process, both in the sense of job applications and also grants for further research. So before starting a permanent professorship, I had approximately 5 years of postdoctoral research experience. And I should say that in the universities where I applied for positions, there were always researchers whom I had previously known. So either from a workshop or from a conference. And I can say that annual conferences in that sense are key events for networking, because it keeps you your relations active by making you meeting with the same people annually within this large event. For many of you, a postdoctoral position can serve as a bridge between your PhD and a permanent academic or a research position or industry position for future. And no doubt, postdoc positions offer valuable research experience and also mentorship, plus publication opportunities, which my colleague Asma will be discussing more detail. So I would suggest looking at this option if it aligns with your career goals. First of all, a postdoctoral position can offer an opportunity for you to deepen your expertise in the specific area of your interest. And in general, we can discuss two types of postdoctoral positions. The first involves like becoming a researcher in an already established project led by some scholars, some experienced scholars, while also maintaining a certain level of independence for yourself. And alternatively, you can pursue an individual postdoctoral research fellowship by securing your own grants with your own proposal. And I can say that I have experienced both of them. I was involved in 2 different projects with large research teams, and also I did 2 individual research projects with individual funding that I secured from different bodies. And I can say that both of them have different benefits and challenges too. But being involved in a project can facilitate publication in peer-reviewed journals and presenting at conferences, which are essential for establishing credibility and advancing your academic career, as you all know. And no doubt that having postdoctoral experience on your CV can enhance your competitiveness level for future academic positions, because it proves your commitment to continued professional development and research excellence. And when the issue comes to the CV and writing the cover letters, in the job hunting process, I mean, make sure that your CV and letters effectively highlight your skills. What do we mean by that? I mean, your CV and cover are often the first point of contact which potential employers can understand who you are. So try to be unique while crafting your CV and letter by avoiding using generic templates. Because writing a tailored cover letter allows you to align your qualifications with the requirements of specific roles or projects. Do not just copy and paste generic cover letter for all calls. I mean, try to highlight relevant skills and experiences and demonstrate your suitability. Convince the evaluation committee that you are the suitable person for this position. I mean, I can give an extreme example here. I mean, I've seen a cover letter which mentions about a completely different university. Perhaps the applicant forgot about changing the name of the university, but used the same letter for another university. So do not copy and paste. And one thing that we all know, academia is a very competitive environment. So writing a cover letter in a way to capture the attention of evaluation committee is a serious task. It's not something that you can do in 1 or 2 nights. It's almost like writing a paper. Convincing cover letters really needs time. And job hunting, it can be unpredictable, and rejection are a common part of this process. So be ready for rejections, stay resilient, adapt to setbacks, and keep pushing forward. I mean, I know it is hard, it is disappointing, but you should be resilient to get some rejections. What you should be in that case is just to stay flexible. You can adjust your initial plans or strategies as needed to stay on course towards your goals. So put your goals at one hand, but be also flexible to seek for alternative positions as well. And in this process, persistence is essential for overcoming the setbacks. Don't take rejections personal. Remember that there is always the factor of other applicants, which you cannot change. So try to learn from your experience, get feedback, and look forward. Don't take it personal. And don't forget that research priorities and methodologies are also evolving very fastly and constantly in the academia. So flexibility also allows you to adopt these changes within this research process, let's say. And last point that I would like to mention within this translation process, don't hesitate to ask guidance from your mentors, supervisors, or peers who have, who have been facing similar challenges. Share your experiences with them. Because mentorship can provide valuable guidance and advice from experienced professionals. And mentors can also help you to expand your network, because majority of senior staff already has expanded network. So it can help you to get involved within their networks too. And mentors can provide psychological support by offering encouragement, particularly for during the processes that you feel demotivated or sometimes stressed due to the challenge of the job market. Please get contact to your advisors or mentors to get some psychological support from them as well. And mentorship can also help you to regain your confidence, building your confidence, which is crucial for job hunting process, because majority of you will be facing with the setbacks. So as I said, keep resilient, get some help from your mentors and advisors, people who had experienced this process before you. So it will help you to gradually develop your resilience, let's say. So to conclude, by defining your goals, leveraging your network, honing your application materials, your CV and cover letter, be careful there, and staying resilient in the face of obstacles, in the face of this research, you can navigate this transition from PhD to early career research process with confidence and clarity. Thank you very much for your attention, and perhaps I can respond to your questions in the Q&A session. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ender, for stressing especially the importance of networking and how PhDs and early career researchers can truly benefit from the tips that you have shared in navigating both professionally and also individually in the post-PhD landscape. We are now moving on to our third and the last speaker, Asma Mehan. Asma Mehan is a researcher, educator, and architect working on the intersection of architectural humanities and critical urban studies. She is an assistant professor at Texas Tech University, Huckabee College of Architecture, and the director of the Architectural Humanities and Urbanism Lab. She has authored numerous articles and essays on critical urban studies, architecture, urban planning, and heritage studies in scholarly books and journals in multiple languages. Small note, Asma is a teammate of mine for the past 2 years in AESOP Young Academics Network Coordination Team. And I have to say, we worked together and collaborated on different things along the way. And I have personally learned a lot from her. Looking forward to her presentation about the different aspects of academic publishing and targeting the right journals for your research. And Asma, please, floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Ceren, for your introduction. And I want to also thank all my fellow colleagues here, Ender and Diana. I learned a lot. And thank you so much, Daniela, for the invitation to RAS. You are doing an amazing job, and I want to learn more. So let me just share my screen. Today, based on what my colleague mentioned, Diana and Ender, I want to focus on this topic of the transition from PhD student to early career researcher and share my experiences, but my main focus in this presentation will be on the subject of publication and the importance of publication during this period and how you can work on that and how you can manage. So let me introduce myself. My name is Asma Mehan, and now I'm an assistant professor and director of Architectural Humanities and Urbanism Lab. And I am working at Huckabee College of Architecture at Texas Tech University. So before moving to the US, I used to work at different European and Australian institutes, mainly in Germany, Switzerland, Italy, and different places in the Europe. Moving forward, I want to mention about the importance and the role of publication in this transitioning to an academic role. So in the previous presentation, you heard about the importance of networking, and also you heard about the importance of finding your voice and finding your people or your tribe. And based on that, I want to also mention about this, the importance of the publication and publishing academic articles, and how it would help you to boost your CV and make it a strong CV, competitive CV, and also it helps you to establish a professional research identity. So moving forward, I want to also mention that it's not an easy job. So lots of PhD students, including myself during my PhD years ago, so they're facing different challenges, maybe because lack of publishing experiences, or because uncertainty about the research direction they want to take, or about the specific discipline that they want to focus. And I think the most important factor here is the limited networking opportunity. So they find it challenging and quite difficult to find the people that they are working in line with their discipline. And also, I think the issue of trust is the important topic that I want to also mention in this publication opportunities, and also in this networking. So moving forward, I think it's important to mention about the role of publication, especially for PhDs, and when you are thinking for the future of your career, if it's a postdoc, if it's working in a funded project with other senior colleagues, if it's defining your project proposal, and also if it's about finding your place within the disciplines. I think all of these goals are relevant to the publication, and also the publication opportunities that you are involved in during your PhD and also after finishing your PhD. So here are a few notes about the benefits of publication. Definitely, it demonstrates your research productivity, and also it allows you to establish your research niche and defining. And also, it's also important for the capturing the grants proposal and make you competitive in the academic job market, which also my colleague Ender mentioned that it's a competitive environment, and you need to know this competitive nature of the academic career. And also it's important, and it's help you to grow your professional network. And I think it's important also to be able to connect with editors, with reviewers, and also knowing and recognizing the different works of the authors in your discipline by citing their work, and also expanding your network of collaborators and colleagues. I think these are the important points. So here I think it's a really short and simplified table about the types of publication. If it's a journal article or a conference paper, so there are different other types of publications, such as book chapter, such as scholarly book, or such as blogs. So I didn't want to just, talk about the process of book publication, but rather I tried here in this presentation to focus more on journal article or conference paper. So for the journal article, and here by the typical journal article, I mean the Q1 or Q2 journal article based on the ranking I want to mention. So here I defined the average time to publication, which is not solid. It can be really less than, it can take less than this time or just much more than this time. But this is kind of average time for publication of the journal article, which takes from 6 months to 12 months. And the length is more or less maximum 8,000 words usually, but it can be around between 6,000 words to 8,000 words. It depends. And it depends on the type of the journal. And also in case of the conference paper, here is the average time for publication that I mentioned and the average length. Here I want to give you the overarching idea about the publication types, and also about the length, and about especially the time it takes to put it together. So moving forward, I think it's important for you to start recognizing and start categorizing the different journals within your disciplines and within your network. And also it's really important to target the right journal. And here is a graph from identifying, which will start from the first place, which is identifying the potential journals. And finally, it's about selecting the top choices and narrowing down your list of the top journals. So it will start by identifying the potential journals, which is starting by making a list of journals in your field that publish similar research. And I think just going over the different research or publications in that specific journal is really important. And also evaluating the journal metrics also, it matters. What is the journal's impact factor? What is the acceptance rate? What is the readership, the reputation in your field? And how you can how you can narrow down your list. And the next factor will be reviewing the journal aims and scopes. If it aligns with your paper, if it aligns with your research focus, and analyzing the recent publication, I think it's an important tool, and I usually do it myself, that I try to just focus on the recent or the newly published articles to check that if it aligns with the style, with the quality and the topic that I'm focusing. And there are lots of debates and ongoing debates about the open access option. There are also different hybrid options or open access publication options. Some of them require fees, and you need to be aware of all these processes and to make sure that you maximize the accessibility and readability of your published or your journal article. And finally, it's about selecting your top choice. And I think it's the way that also I am doing with my other colleagues. For example, with Ceren, I think when we are thinking about publishing an article, we are exactly going through the same route. And finally, it's about expanding your network. So here we learned a lot about the AESOP and AESOP Young Academic through my two different fellow colleagues here, Ender and Ceren. And also Daniela gave you an amazing presentation about the activities, publications, and grant opportunities and scholarship opportunities for our RSA. I think it's important and critical for you to engage actively within these different networks. And also here I mentioned the 3 American networks that I started to work with after moving to the US, such as ACSP, such as American Planning Association and American Association of Geographers. I think being actively involved in this networks, and especially I appreciate the works that Young Academic is doing, because it gives the opportunity to young academic careers to be able to engage actively within different publications, but also conference and also networking opportunities. And I think during your PhD career, it's the best time to start building these network opportunities. And moving forward, here are just a glance of the top journals, and it's not solid, and I think it's depends on the focus area, and it depends on the specific keywords that you are searching. But here are just a quick overview that you need to have a look to the impact factors, to the focus area of the journals, and become familiar with the top journals in your research disciplines. For example, the keywords that I decided for this specific list that I mentioned here are with the keywords such as urban planning, regional planning, policy development, infrastructure, and planning theory and education. So these are the keywords that I try to narrow down the list of my top journals. And here also you can see the impact factor and so on. And moving forward, I think it's important for you to make time for writing. So writing is not your only task during the PhD. You also have different tasks, and you're just moving around these different responsibilities, which can be teaching, which can be coursework, which can be other activities such as networking, conference presentation, and so on, and definitely research. But I think it's important for you to start to make time for writing in your daily activities. So here is just imaginary graph of a PhD student during the peak of writing the thesis and also just diving into the research. And you see that how you need to prioritize the different research and writing activities, especially during the final year of your PhD, to make sure that it's a productive you will have a productive contribution in terms of research as well. And about the building your network, I don't want to just go long here. I think also my colleagues mentioned about the different ways. So in a general overview, attending conferences, I think it's a great opportunity, and joining professional association, as I mentioned before, and actively become engaged in different activities. You can also nominate, be volunteer in different activities, and I think that's great, and also help you to grow and collaborate with other colleagues. So my other colleagues also mentioned that you don't need to be shy. You can just send an email, you can just ask for collaboration. Most of the colleagues will be happy to collaborate with you. Most of the senior colleagues will be happy to collaborate with you on different projects or different research publication. opportunities or conference opportunities as well, and use the social media. I think the role of the social media is becoming more and more important and critical, and we cannot ignore it anymore. So there are lots of different social media platforms. For example, for the AESOP Young Academic, which Ceren and I are working for a long time. So there are different platforms that we are just, disseminating the different news and events and publication opportunities, such as LinkedIn, such as Instagram, such as X. And it's important, and Facebook groups, and it's important for you to just engage also in the social media more actively. And finally, I think it's important, especially about the writing time, the writing role, that you get support. So our university, for example, at Texas Tech, has a really well-developed, nice writing center, and also the different writing groups that you can engage as a PhD and just, use the environment, use the experience of the senior colleague and become more engaged. And also there are other online forums that help you and give you support, especially during this writing process. And finally, I think it's important that you be able to brand yourself and also promote your research and introduce what you are doing to the real world. So Diana mentioned about, I think, the importance of just branding yourself. And I want to also emphasize that it's really important that you promote your research and be able to reach to the wider audience in academia and beyond. Maybe some policymakers are interested about what you are doing. So maybe people from municipality are interested from what you are interested in your research. And I think it will happen through the open access publication, usually through the social media engagement, and sometimes through the writing blogs. Sometimes a really short blog can just engage more effectively than a really long academic paper. I think all these different mediums are important for you to be able to strategically promote your research and also increase the visibility and impact of your research out there. And finally, I think as a wrap up, I think it's important for the early career researcher to establish credibility and also advance their research. And so it's also important for you to celebrate the small wins during this long path. And also the other note that I want to repeat, and I think Ender mentioned, is that you need to use these rejections and use these no's as a learning experience. Do not take it personal. I want to just repeat what Ender mentioned. Do not take it personal. Rejections are part of this process. You need to celebrate them and just look at them as a learning process on this path to becoming a more established and independent researcher. Thank you so much for your attention. Thank you.
Thanks, Asma, for sharing your insights and take-home messages. Indeed, they are very substantial for PhDs and early career researchers. So now I would like to give the floor to my co-chair, Daniela, for moderating the Q&A session. And we will do our best to cover all your questions, hopefully. Please, Daniela.
Okay, thank you very much, Asma and Diana, for these presentations. Really interesting, really rich insights, and I thought they nicely complemented each other. There's lots to take home for the audience, I think. We have 3 questions, which I like to go through. If there are more questions coming in, please put them in the Q&A box. We have Sebom asking, how early in the PhD program do you recommend contacting relevant professors to prepare for a postdoc? So I wondered if, Diana, if you could comment on this, as you have had several postdoc positions now. What do you recommend? How often? When is the right time? When is too early? When is too late? Or is there too early at all?
I think you need to be quite practical about this, and also keep in mind the type of postdocs that are around, because there are postdocs where you need to work in a specific project. There are other postdocs that are open for you to do your research. As far as I understand, in my experience in the Nordic countries, this is quite different from what it is the UK and stuff like that. So first, what will be your context and what's around for you? I think that will be the first thing. And well, first, what's the timing? It depends. If you're going to contact someone to inquire about postdoc opportunities, that might be the case that you want to do it when you can start like in the next academic year, if this makes sense. So close to your submission or close to you having a certain deadline or a date when you know this is when I'm gonna be done, right? But that doesn't mean you can start like maybe exploring what's around before or networking with people, maybe not specifically about, hey, I'm looking for a postdoc, but rather, this is what I do, I'm interested in this kind of research and so on. And, you know, start creating these bridges with people, and that you can do throughout the thing. But then if it's specifically about doing a postdoc or like further opportunity, be practical and don't do it unless you know you can actually take it. Because what if they say yes and you know, if they offer something, you need to be able to commit to that. So I hope that helps.
Okay, that's really helpful, Diana. Thank you. Margarita asked a question which I think might be the reality of several people here, that sometimes advisors, PhD supervisors, and so on might come from a very different situation when they worked in academia, when they were doing a PhD, and their advice might not always be up to date. So her question is, how do you know that their advice is actually still real and usable? I mean, I think you answer your own question actually in that question, but I shall hand this over to Ender. So the question is, a lot of my mentors are older and entered academia in a completely different landscape or in other countries. Do you have any opinions on how to actualize their advice?
Yeah, thank you for the question. I think when you face this sort of a condition, you should ask for always clarification. I mean, try to understand, identify the underlying message that your mentor tries to give you. And if you feel that it doesn't make sense for your existing condition, you can always ask follow-up questions to contextualize their advice and do some reflections on your current experience. And if you still feel that their advice is not valid for the contemporary case, I would suggest, finding for alternative advice from your colleagues, maybe from different generations, not going back to 20 years, because competitors in academia changes a lot. So it would be better to have different mentors from perhaps different generations. Because experience is important, yes, but following the update, contemporary developments is also crucial in this area. So I would suggest having different mentors from different generations. And also you can keep looking on the contemporary channels like blogs and websites, because your peers might be facing similar challenges that you are seeking for the advice. So try to find information and advice from different channels. That's my answer to the question.
Okay, thank you. And we will run 5 minutes late. We just want to get the questions answered and go through this. I hope that's okay. One question for Asma. In parts, you already answered this. You had this graph where you highlighted how much of your workload percentage-wise should be allocated to certain things. So Leah is asking, how large is your workload? Is it usual for an early career researcher to work on publications and applications for funding outside the official working hours?
Thank you so much for the question, Leah. I think it's an important question, and somehow it's also related to creating the balance, you know, between the different workload and different responsibilities. I think for many early career researchers, the workload can be quite high and also significant sometimes. And it often and sometimes includes the different activities, as you mentioned, such as research, writing publications, sometimes teaching, apply for funding, engaging in administrative and service-related activities. So all these different roles and different tasks exist. I think balancing this responsibility can be challenging, but also I think it's really, really important, because when you try to establish yourself as a researcher in the field and you try to secure a more permanent position, it's important for you to be able to balance between these different responsibilities. But I think it's not uncommon for early career to work on publication and funding application outside of official working hours. And also I know and I can tell that because of this competitive nature of academia and also the changing nature of academia that we discussed here, and the pressure to publish and secure funding, also this can be sometimes really challenging and difficult. But at the same time, I think it's really, really important for the early career and the young academics to create these work-life balances. And I think this is the topic also that we have, am I right, Ceren, in the next webinar? Yes. And I think maybe in that webinar and discussion, it can be just, they can just, present some solution for the early career to create the balances between these different responsibilities. And I think finding the strategies to manage this workload effectively and to balance, I think it's really, really important. And definitely it would not happen without the support from your mentors, colleagues, and also the institutions. And yeah, that's it. I think you need also to attend in the next webinar, which is about creating the balance.
Great, thank you very much, Asma. A question for all three presenters. What's the social media platform that you would recommend everyone should have a presence? What's the one where you think for career development, this is where you need to be? One quick answer, each of you. Diana, do you want to start?
Yeah, I never used Twitter, and after the fall of Twitter, I found LinkedIn being the most useful.
Okay, great. Asma, where are you present? Or what is your suggestion?
Yeah. LinkedIn, Facebook, X, previous Twitter, blogs, websites.
Okay, all right. And what's...
Sorry. I think subscribing to the newsletter of the institution, I think it's a really important tool that, for example, you can just subscribe to RSA and you will be informed about all news and activities related to RSA. But I think engaging between these different social media is now becoming more and more important. So I don't have a special favorite. I think all of them are complementary, but LinkedIn is the more professional one.
And would you agree, LinkedIn? Or do you have some other?
Yeah, my answer will be first LinkedIn, second X.
Okay. And Ceren, what's your top tip?
As others said, LinkedIn.
Okay, so we hope everyone has a platform, a presence on LinkedIn going forward. Let me close the session today and thank the speakers for the time to be in the webinar, but also for the preparation, because we know, I mean, obviously there's time involved in this, and sharing your expertise and learning with the RSA and AESOP community. We really appreciate this. Thank you for to my fellow moderator Ceren, my colleagues Alex and Nicola behind the scene. Thank you to the audience today for joining us. Remember, the next webinar is on 25th of April. More information on the RSA or AESOP website. Take care, stay well, goodbye.